She's sweet, she's salty, she's smart and craves chocolate every day. Here is your host, the Greek goddess of comedy, Ellen Karis.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sweet and Salty with Ellen Karis. I am your host, Ellen Karis, and you are listening to the guest edition of Sweet and Salty. Yes, I said guest. I said we were going to have guests. I know it's been a lot of solo editions, but when I get a guest, I really get a quality guest. And I'm very excited today to interview an exceptionally talented singer-songwriter. But before we get to that, it is Tuesday. It's Tuesday, August 19th. Excuse me. My mind is on Thursday because I have a show this Thursday in Delaware at the Candlelight Theater. Come one, come all. I also have a show next week, August 28th, at the Suffolk Theater in Riverhead, Long Island. And check my schedule. I'm booking dates. I'm in Staten Island, Indiana, of all places, and New Jersey. We're doing a little tour in October with Angelo Tsaroukas. So check it all out. Go to my website, ellenkaris.com, or follow me on Instagram and the TikTok at Greek Chick Comic or Ellen Karis Facebook. All right. I love interviewing singers, songwriters, anybody that has anything to do with music, because I feel, one of the most musically challenged people ever, because I don't know how to play an instrument. I don't know how to sing. I can't carry a note. I'm probably tone deaf, I think. And my whole family is like this. So it's genetic that we have really, really bad no music gene whatsoever, but I can dance. So, I mean, not like Janet Jackson dance, but just like, decent dancing. So there's a gentleman by the name of Ken that I met, who came to one of my comedy shows last year, and he is very involved in the music business. And he has brought me a few incredibly talented musicians to interview. And one I have today, songwriter, composer, producer, singer, Joan DeNicola. Did I say that correctly?
You did.
Joan DeNicola. Nice Italian, yes.
Yes.
Are you
Nice
all
Italian boy.
are you all Italian?
I am, Italian American. My parents were both born here.
Right. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm Greek. My parents are both born here too, but I'm
Okay.
Greek
Yeah.
Greek American.
All Greek.
So what you're not only just like singer-songwriter, you had a band, you have bands, you produce records, you won an Academy Award and a Golden Globe and was nominated for a Grammy. And I'm sure everybody remembers, because it's iconic, the movie Dirty Dancing, which I'm so happy to know that it's still in the vernacular. You know what I'm saying? It's not one of these movies that was in the 80s and everybody forgot about it. I mean, it's still talked about. There have been remakes. The music is always out. And you were a co-writer of the song Hungry Eyes, which we all know, and The Time of My Life, which I thought was, which again is still plays to this day. So I'm very impressed with all of your credentials, but I want to start a little bit from the beginning. And this is so appropriate that I'm interviewing you today. You're on the show because I just finished watching the whole Billy Joel documentary. And you are from, your bio says Amityville. Is that where you grew up, in Amityville, Long Island?
Well, that's where I was born, in Amityville. Then we moved to Centerport, Huntington area, and then the Smithtown area. So mostly Suffolk County. But yes, I'm a Long Islander.
Long Islander. I love it. And there were so many things I loved about the Billy Joel interview, and you have a connection to Billy Joel, which I want to get to in a second. But what I didn't realize, I went to a Billy Joel concert like a long time ago. Of course, I know his songs and et cetera, but I've never really heard him speak for other than like a minute interview, somebody sticking a microphone in his face. And what was incredible was because I'm not from Long Island. I have relatives on Long Island. I do a ton of comedy on Long Island. I spend time on Long Island, and I'm married to someone from Long Island. And so I know the personality. And Billy Joel, after all the billions of dollars that this man's made, the guy's iconic, and I, by the way, everybody, you should watch it. It's two parts, 2 hours, it's 4 hours in total. It's long, I didn't do it in one sitting. This man is a genius. But what struck me was he spoke, the attitude, everything was Long Island. Like nothing changed this
Yeah.
man. It
Yeah.
was, right? I mean, you
Yeah,
tell me.
totally. Totally. I was taken by that too. You can take the Long Island out of the man, whatever that line goes.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. He's been the world over. He's one of the most successful music artists of all time, but he still has that. He's still, and because you're seeing most of the interview is him now, and he's that same feisty Long Islander. I come from Long Island. I haven't lived there. I've lived elsewhere longer than I lived on Long Island. But um, I yeah, I have some ties to Billy Joel's band because it's kind of a long story, but the I all right, let's talk about this band Sweetback, because
Mhm.
when I was 19, 20 years old, we had a band that was a seven-piece horn section, and Rich Canada was our sax player. And I don't know, maybe for a year or so, and then Rich got, I guess, Billy came to a couple of shows and decided he wanted to get Richie Canada in his band. So that would be probably my closest tie. He came from our band. And the weird thing is that I bring up now is my newest record. I, I, I the lead singer of Sweetback, when we were 19, 20, he just passed away last year. His name was Tim Lawless. He was an amazing singer, an Irishman that sounded like Ronnie Isley. And he passed away. I wrote a song called King of His Own World, and I used the band members from our Sweetback band. I used the drummer, the guitarist, the sax player, and the keyboard player. Um, and um, that snowballed into a full record of quote unquote Sweetback songs. We were approached when we were 19. Again, this is a seven-piece band. We were approached by a record label, and they wanted to do something with us, but we were like young idiots, and some of us wanted to just keep the club thing going, and some of us wanted to do original music. And a little bit, this feels like we're finally fulfilling that promise from when we were 19, 20. So it's kind of a closure thing for us. Everybody in the band just had a blast doing it. Of course, we're, sad that Tim's not here with us. Um, but that's a roundabout way. So uh, Richie was in the band Sweetback.
So I'm very sorry about your friend.
Oh,
I had read that, and it's very, very painful to lose somebody that close. I want to just go back for a second, and because it reminded me of, in watching, I didn't know anything about Billy Joel's life really. His father was like a classical musician, and he comes from all that. Who knew? Um, where did it start for you? Was music in your Italian family? Did you just pick it up? Was it music class? Was it a particular teacher in school? Like, how did this all come about?
um, yeah, I always, one of my earliest memories, my brother had a guitar in the basement in Amityville, and I picked it up. I was probably 6 or 7, and I just started plucking the strings, and I heard my mother upstairs say, "It sounds like he'd be good on guitar." And so that's, I don't know if that's, she played piano by ear, and my dad would always have tapes of music. That's what people had, reel-to-reel tapes, and always going in the basement. So there was music around the house. My mother played by ear, sort of for fun. But I'm sort of is it a journeyman? Is that what you call it? I'm I really had to work at it. I think I really took me a long time to really develop my ear. And now I'm a multi-instrumentalist. I record my records. I have the studio behind me. And so, all those years of songwriting, you kind of have to, you end up having to cover all the bases. You have to be the producer, you have to be the writer, you have to be the musician, you have to be the engineer in order to stay in the game. And so all those years of doing that, I feel like finally, paid off in that I'm right now, I feel the most skilled at what I do. I mean, I feel like I can do anything now. But it took me a long time to get to that point.
Did you take lessons, or was it how did you learn? What instruments do you play? You have no idea how impressed I am. Because I
Well, I'm a bass player by trade. I mean, that's what I was trained in. But I play guitar. I mean, on my records, guitar. I have a Hammond organ. I have a piano. I have a Wurlitzer. I have a sitar. I have a bass clarinet. I have a soprano sax. I have a pump organ. Um, I play anything that I need to lay down to get the point across of what I'm trying to get across. So, and I just produced a friend of mine, Robert LaRoche. His record is coming out on OMAD Records. That's my record label. It's coming out in October. And I play just about every one of those instruments on his record. He comes and does his vocal and guitars, and then I build around that, including, and then my record, it's same thing. Although this one a little bit different because it's kind of got a horn. I used a 5-piece horn section. One of the guys being from Sweetback, and thank you. One of the guys, the horn players, being from Sweetback, but he was playing alto, tenor, and baritone. Um, and then I hired two other guys that knew Tim Lawless well, but everybody else is from that band, Sweetback, and I'd play piano and bass on those songs, and then the other guys I'd have fill in. But the rest of the songs are me. But I love that. I enjoy picking up an instrument and eking a part out that fits the song.
but
I first learned on guitar. I first
okay.
took some lessons on guitar.
I'm so mesmerized. Yeah, I'm so mesmerized. I mean, to me, also, you have to be able to read music, right? I mean,
No, no.
okay.
Almost every pop musician you'll ever speak to doesn't read. It's a ear thing. You learn the theory of guitar chords and notes and a scale. But I bet Billy Joel reads, but I bet Bruce Springsteen doesn't. I bet who else? I bet Donald Fagen does, but I bet John Lennon never did.
Mm.
It's not a prerequisite for pop, rock, R&B, funk. It's not a prerequisite. You don't need to read.
So getting back to the records and record deals. So you've been in this business a long time. It's changed dramatically. In watching not just Billy Joel's, but I watched Clive Davis's documentary. I love documentaries. and of interesting people. I don't like the ones of serial killers and all that other kind. That doesn't interest me. But I like things like Motown.
Yep.
I watch Quincy Jones. It's funny. It's like I tend to watch the music ones because I'm so fascinated with the business that I'm is still so foreign to me. But in watching these, obviously the business has changed. There were labels and they signed you and then they promoted you. And so what was your experience back then and now what's happening now? I mean, it sounds like you have your own label and you're just doing your own thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, luckily enough, from the success of the Dirty Dancing movie, I'm able to do whatever I want. I don't have to worry about that. But the business, first of all, to finish the other conversation, I
Mhm.
did go to Berklee College of Music for actually one semester,
Uh-huh.
but I had already taken their online music theory course. So when I got there, I was called actually after the first semester to do a jazz fusion record on Motown with a band called Flight, and we did one record. Flight had two records before me on Capitol, but when I joined the band, we did one record, and Erica Badu sampled one of our songs for Back in the Day, if you know that song.
Mhm.
That's sampled from our record. So that's why I left school. But I got enough theory for what you need for pop music. There are some people who don't get any even that. They just go by ear. Um, so I did that record with Flight, and then I kind of oh gosh, I don't even know the order of things. That was in like the late 70s, early
Did you
80s.
did you go to Hitsville in Detroit? Did you go out to their actual?
Now we did it here in New York.
Oh, okay.
We did it in New York. Um, but she probably sampled the song because it's on Motown, and she was on Motown. I don't know if she still is, but she was on Motown at the time. So they, somehow went through the Motown catalog and said, "Oh, that's a great group." I think I started doing original bands after that, and more in the pop rock realm. Still kind of chasing that record deal that we missed out on when we were 19. And then I started working um, with Frankie. Well, I was working at a recording studio in Montclair, New Jersey, with a guy named David Prater, and I was recording the music for the song that you hear, "Hungry Eyes." I was recording that track, which, by the way, came to me in 10 or 15 minutes. That song played itself down musically in like 10 or 15 minutes. There was no afterthought. It just dun dun dun, and I just started playing. Um, but anyway, I Frankie was looking for songs or a songwriter to write with because he had just gotten dropped by his record label. This is Frankie Previtt. He had a band called Frankie and the Knockouts. They had a big hit called Sweetheart, and he was on Jimmy Einer's label. Now Jimmy becomes the music director for Dirty Dancing. So Frankie heard Hungry Eyes and the music to it and said, "I'd love to write to that." And that was the introduction for me and Frankie. And Frankie kind of took it home and did what they call top line and wrote the lyrics. And must have wrote about 8 or 10 songs together. And while we were doing that, Jimmy Einer called and said, "Listen, there's this movie. They need the final song. Everybody's submitting. He told us it starts slow and then it goes into like a dance kind of groove. And the guy, the dance instructor is accused of stealing wallet and blah, blah, blah." And so not a lot of direction, but I went to, Frankie said to Jimmy, "I'm trying to get a record deal. I'm trying to write songs." And he said, "Well, take time, Frankie, because this is going to change your life." And so we did. I worked with my friend Donald Markowitz, and we came up with a music track, and then Frankie took it from there. And as the story goes, there was like 150 songs that they had listened to, and they were very depressed because they were getting ready to film the final sequence. They were filming it out of sequence, so that was going to be first, and then they were going to go back. And they still had this Lionel Richie track that was out, and it was just a placeholder. And they were so bummed. They were, as the story goes, the 150th song cassette they put in, and they just went Patrick, Eleanor Bergstein, who wrote it, Emil Ardolino, who directed it, and Kenny Ortega, who choreographed it. They went, "Oh, this is the song. This is the song we've been waiting for." And Patrick told us that they filmed that scene to our demo, actually, not the final that you hear. Um, and he said that kind of turned the whole production around. They were all kind of like, oh, I don't know if this thing's going to do anything. It was a low, kind of a low budget. And when they had that song to work towards, they were all like revved up. That's the story Patrick told us. And so that's how that song, then we went back in. They needed more songs, and we went back and they showed us the I Carry to the Watermelon scene. And do you have a song for that? And we said, well, try this. And that was Hungry Eyes. They said, well, it doesn't work there, but we may have this other scene where it works. And of course, that's the menage a trois scene where they're sort of teaching her to dance
Hmm.
sandwich. And that's how it is. Serendipitous. I say that um, because that's how the business is. Of course, we had to have the right song. It was just the right song for the right situation. And then Hungry Eyes closely followed that.
Okay, I have the chills. That
Yeah.
that is an amazing, amazing story. Um, did you know when you were writing the song for the movie that Patrick Swayze was attached to it? Did you know?
Yes, we knew Patrick was. We knew
Okay.
Patrick and Jennifer. We knew Bill Medley was going to sing whatever song it was.
Uh-huh.
But there was no definite woman yet. They talked about uh, Donna Summers, talked about Diana Ross, a few other. Donna Summer didn't like the title, Dirty Dancing, so she didn't want to do it.
She was very religious.
Yeah, so it
Even
didn't work.
though, I mean, her songs,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think there was like a big conflict for her, unless she was at that point sort of born again. I've also seen her documentary.
Oh,
So, um, so I don't know if you realize I probably don't know this, but I had on my podcast. What do we? I think about 6, 7 months ago. Wasn't that long ago? It was in 2025. Stacy Wildlitz, and which he was co-wrote with Patrick. She's Like the Wind, and I found out from Ken, our mutual friend, that he passed just recently, and then was very quick. Of course, the big C.
yeah.
And he, I mean, I just knew him with the interview. We had a great interview, and
Nice
he
guy.
shared everything with me with music, and then he sort of had a third career as a photographer, and he was doing all these black and whites. I started to follow him on Instagram. I loved the photos, and he was just a nice man. He lived in Tennessee, he moved to Tennessee, blah, blah, blah. And so I was very sad. It's interesting that I'm having you and I had him, with this connection. And I really do love that movie, Dirty Dancing. I mean, I've seen it like a million times, and it's
Well, we did a lot together through
Mhm,
Ken, uh,
mhm.
Stacy and I, and sometimes Frankie. Yeah, it was so sad, and Stacy was such a just a wonderful guy, also from Long Island,
Mhm,
Plainview
right.
area.
Mhm.
Um, Kind of shocked us all. I mean, it was only like 2 weeks from when he said he was sick, and then he was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really, that really got me,
Service for him
I'm,
tomorrow.
I'm grateful that, I got to meet him and spend some time with him. So,
Uh,
but let me ask you something very superficial.
okay.
What was it like going to the Academy Awards?
Well, it was wonderful. It was a little, you know, surreal.
Hmm.
Um, LA is compared to New York City is kind of tame, tame-ish. It seemed kind of tame, which was okay. It was wonderful. Met so many people and everybody went out of their way to say hi. John Candy, um, Burt Lancaster, who I always loved. Um,
Oh,
you
wow.
know, well, of course, Jennifer Grey was there, and I think at the dinner afterwards, or was it the next day or whatever, um, Jack Nicholson comes up behind us. It's your night, fellas. It's your night. Enjoy your. So it was fun. It was fun. It was a little bit of high and low for me because my mom was very sick in the hospital at that moment. So in fact, my only little speech was just because Frankie kind of said all the thank yous, and then Donnie added more, and then the clock was actually out when when I got up there. But I just mentioned the hospital and the people that were taking care of my mom, and yeah, I was glad that she was able to see it. You
Right,
know, she
right,
was
right. And you went to the Golden Globes as well. So
the
that was
Golden Globes. I guess that was before the Oscars.
right.
Yes, Golden Globe was fun. Patrick and Jennifer, I think, were nominated for that, but they didn't. We were the only winners. Um, we didn't win the Grammy, which Fievel the Mouse. What was that song? Somewhere Out There beat us. Uh, Classic songwriters whose names are escaping me right now, but they had been around for a long time. So um,
So
uh,
you had quite the year. I mean,
a great
your
year.
tuxedo got a good a good wearing.
Yes, it did. It was also the number one song on ASCAP for that year.
Mm.
I think number two was Hungry Eyes. So yeah, it was quite a year. Yep.
Speaking of people that passed, and ironically, Stacy and Patrick Swayze passed of the same thing. What a talent he was, Patrick Swayze, and multi-talented, nice guy. The dancing, his whole story was so interesting, and he left us young. But that was the first thing I thought of, that they went the same. Unfortunately, the same disease took them.
Same exact cancer,
Yeah.
pancreatic. Patrick was the only one that could pull that role off. I think I don't know anybody else. He had enough of that street vibe and sexiness and macho-ness and danceability. I mean, he was yeah, he was quite a talent, and it really showed in that movie because how many other movies does he get to not only act and be all that, but dance like he did? You
Right.
know,
Right.
that doesn't come often.
Right. So it's so interesting. Let's talk about what you're doing now. So you have your own label. And are you also looking for artists to produce? Are you managing anybody? Like what's happening? And where can we also listen to your music? I did find some of your songs on YouTube, and
Oh,
they're beautiful. They really, really are beautiful. I like music. All right. I don't know if this is going to go over well with you, but as far as like fun, and I like old, like Donna Summer, like I like classic disco, like just but
okay.
the fun stuff that you play in the clubs, like, but
Right,
to dance to,
right.
and other music. I'm not a rap fan at all. I
Mhm.
still don't get it after all this time. And there's so much music that I hear out there that just sounds like the same, and I just don't get it. I love instruments. I don't like just talking. And I love for me, music is either to make me get up and dance, to change my mood into a good mood, and to relax me. And
Yeah.
I even love like jazz, but more than having it just in the background, I like to go out and listen to it.
Sure.
I find
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
such a nice, relaxing, just a relaxing evening. So I listened to some of your songs and it was really, really beautiful. Uh, tell us what's happening now about you and where people can listen to your music as well, and what you're doing. And are you going out playing live at all? Do you play in a band?
I'm actually working on a date to get in New York City, a couple of dates for the release of this record, which is about to come out August 29th.
Don't
I don't know
don't
if you
wait.
heard.
Mhm.
Don't wait. Yeah,
Wait.
there's
Mhm.
3 songs out so far. King of His Own World, which, as I told you, was about Tim, and Apocalypse, and Don't Wait so far. Amen and Hallelujah. Maybe that's one of the ones you heard. Anyway, this record's coming out. I there's I have about 10 artists on the label. There are no rap artists, but that's not because I just haven't found uh, someone that I wanted to work with. I also have a tendency to work with musicians who are playing the instruments and play, like drums and bass and guitar and keyboards, as opposed to a lot of modern pop music is very sample oriented, and it's kind of like collage-y, in that they take, it's kind of pieces and they piece it together and they make it sound like a great pop song. But that's not what I do or did, or I mean, I can if I have to, but it's not my where I want to go. I'm just finished the Robert LaRoche record. He was in a band called The Size, which had a couple of hits in the 90s. It's kind of, well, Americana, jangle guitar. Peter Lewis and was a founding member of a band called Moby Grape, which was a 60s. They were the first band to get signed out of the San Francisco Grateful Dead, all that bunch, Janis Joplin, all that. This was one of the first bands who never made it. They I shouldn't say that. They're almost famous. They exploded onto the scene, and different problems happened, but they influenced, big time influenced, like Little Steven, Beck, Robert Plant, and Led Zeppelin, and so they were a very influential band. And his daughter, his mother, by the way, was Loretta Young,
She's
the
an
actress.
actress from like the 50s or 40s.
Yeah, well, she was in The Bishop's Wife. She won an Oscar for The Bishop's Wife. Anyways, old Hollywood royalty. So, Peter's an older gentleman now too, but his daughter came to him, Arwen, at 22, and said, "Can you teach me how to write and play guitar and sing?" And we did a record with her of all Moby Grape songs with her singing. So it's kind of a different take on that. We are working on a documentary about Peter and Arwen, just what I said, Arwen coming to him and saying, "Teach me." And it's, it's we did some shows with Arwen at the bitter end, and she's got a career, going on. This has been over the last 10 years, basically. And the documentary is more about family angst, or family, a father daughter, and first a mother son. So we have to talk about Loretta and his upbringing, and then Arwen came. So we've screened it it's not finished yet, but we screened it with a few people who have nothing to do with music, and they all related one way or the other to a parent and father daughter, or whatever. So we're excited about that. Um,
Tribeca Film Festival.
yeah, well, as soon as we have to finish the damn thing, we're this close. We've done a lot, done a lot of edits and stuff. The problem, you see, if you don't know who Moby Grape is, you won't see the problem, but Moby Grape is a rabbit hole. It's a rabbit hole. So the problem was avoiding that rabbit hole and telling the story of Peter and his daughter. Because there's all kinds of stories. If you get a chance, Google Moby Grape.
I just wrote it down.
Okay. And it's never ending, never ending. Two of the guys ended up. Well, one of the guys died. He was schizophrenic, and Bob Mosley, who I've been dealing with, who was a very influential on me as a musician and certainly as a bass player, was had a lot of PTSD, and they called him schizophrenic too, but I don't know. He was homeless for a long time, so it's a rabbit hole. But he's doing well now. Peter's doing great, and yeah. I mean, I didn't start doing my own records till 2019. It was my first record, and on that record was called the Why Because, and that was songs that I kind of was working on a song that Why Because
Mm.
um, that's my brother-in-law did that drawing when he was 17. Um, I was looking for someone to sing a song that was in a Sylvester Stallone movie called You're the Only One. It was in the movie called Avenging Angelo. But it never, a guy named Steve Holy sang it, but it never was released as a song. So I was trying to, in my new barn studio, I was trying to re-demo the song, and I was doing it in the studio. And when it came to find somebody to sing, I just thought, well, maybe I'll throw my voice down on it. I did, and people responded really well. So I did a whole record, mostly of songs that I had written for other people. I covered, of course, my two big songs, Time of My Life and Hungry Eyes, and other songs. Either there was a song by John Waite that we had written together, so I did that one. And I wasn't going to do The Time of My Life, but because for obvious reasons, but I decided I just do like a minute and a half, and it's just acoustic guitar and French horn, and it just sounds like a songwriter singing a song. Um, so that was the first record, and then 2021, during COVID, I wrote for the first time ever a record for myself. Maybe you heard She Said that maybe that was one of the songs that showed up. But the album title is She Said, and I'm going to show you that one too. That's
Uh,
my wife in her younger years, and
oh, look how
uh,
beautiful. That's so
that's
sweet.
um, and yeah, and a band called The Size from the '90s. I did a record. I, I, we after 20 years we reunited and did a record here in the barn, and that did well. And then I think I mentioned Robert LaRoche came out of that band. He's been a solo artist down in Texas, actually, in Austin, for a number of years. And that record's coming out in October, my record in August, the movie, hopefully soon.
Are
That's
you in
probably,
are you based in New York still, or you're someplace else?
I am upstate New York. We have a place still in the West Village,
Mhm.
but I'm mostly up here in near Delhi, New York. Oneonta,
Oh,
south of
yeah.
Oneonta.
Yeah. Okay. I know. Yeah. Nice. That's nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
we're in the mountains. In the
Yeah.
mountains, we have like I said, I have a studio in the barn.
That's great. That's great. Let me ask you, you say you're married?
I am.
And your wife, you have kids, you have a son and a,
I have a son. Yep. I gotta mention this too. This is the Christmas album we'll be putting out again. It was released last.
oh, I love a Christmas album.
No, it's good. It's really good. It's all the artists on the label. My son has a band called Fovea, Fovea. It's a three-piece band. He's the drummer. He's mostly in film though. That's his thing. but there's the back of the cover. It's kind of,
Oh, that's great. Oh, I love that.
yeah, it's
I'm
a,
gonna get that.
throwback-ish. OMAD Records, Season Greetings from OMAD Records, featuring songs by OMAD Records artists and friends. So it's cool. There's two covers and everything else is original. So it's kind of
So,
neat.
so are these things, so and for people that are listening to the podcast, they don't see it, but you have actual albums with album covers. How are people listening mostly to music? Is it a Spotify? Is it a download? Is
You
it a,
know, it depends.
I know vinyls came back for a while. I don't know if that's
Yeah,
still.
I mean, vinyl still comes back. It's still, even CDs are making a little bit of a comeback.
Mm,
Some of the artists I work with, if they're a little bit in the older generation, they are still buying CDs and LPs. But the youngest generation is all Spotify, and you touched on it earlier. The business is non-existent anymore. I mean, I'll get 10 million streams in a quarter. That's 3 months. I'll get 10 million between everything I'm doing. And I'll get like $400 or $500, $600. That's 10 million streams.
right, right.
A new band is happy to get 100,000 streams, 200,000 streams. There's people that get millions of streams that doesn't mean anything. It only means maybe they can play live and get paid for that because they're not getting paid from Spotify streams.
Right,
There's just there's no money in it. It's
right.
just
When,
it's
when,
sad. I don't know how, I don't know. There's only a handful of people making money on it, and they have to be selling, a billion streams.
right.
It's just, it's awful. It's awful.
Yeah, it really changed once things became electronic, as opposed to buying a hard like CD or
It became kind of background too. I mean, I would, as a kid, and maybe you did too, I'd go into my room and put a record on and be taken away. And now it's background. It's like, everybody's multitasking and doing different things, and they're putting some music on in the background. Doesn't It's not like a focus, which is
right.
sad.
Or it's
That's
for a TikTok or it's for a TikTok video, like a day,
seconds.
I'm sure there's one we should have looked it up, but I'm sure there's one on TikTok for both of your songs.
TikTok doesn't pay anything either.
Right, right.
The only thing you can get a TikTok is if it goes viral and then people start listening on Spotify and then it has to go that viral. It's hell. It's hell for musicians. I feel bad for young musicians coming up. Uh, I don't know if the model can last because who's going to make music? I mean, I guess I don't know. If you can't make a living out of it, what are you going to do? You know?
Who do you like in the contemporary space? Like, and let me just throw out just some names. And again, not that I'm an expert, but um, uh, Shakira, Jennifer Lopez, Katy Perry, Taylor Swift, who's made billions of dollars. That what's that, Billie Eilish. I mean, any of the, and I'm saying women now. Any of the
Yeah.
guys.
Well, the only one that you mentioned there that I actually purchased an LP of was Billie Eilish.
Mhm.
Mm, But if you probably don't know who Alex G is or Tame Impala,
Mhm.
but they're not pop artists, but they're indie rock artists. So I kind of like what they're doing. The pop realm, it's hard for me because I immediately hear the production, and the production to me is I don't want to sound like an old fuddy-duddy, but it's like any one of their voice, you could take a track and put anybody's voice on it,
Mhm.
and it's this. There's no again. I should shut up, but if you listen to the charts and top 40 in 1967, you'd hear Janis Joplin, you'd hear Jim Morrison, you'd hear Jimi Hendrix, you'd hear Carlos Santana. They're all so different. Sonically, the music was different, and uh, Elton John or the voice was everything. Now it's yeah, everybody, there's good voices, but they're almost too trained. They're almost too calisthenic. Rod Stewart sang sharp and flat. You know, um, so did Led Zeppelin, Robert Plant. They were singing a little out of tune, but that's what was endearing. That's what made you go, "Wow, that's cool." I mean, it was more about partly it's technology. You can perfect
Right,
everything. You
right.
can tune the vocal. You can line the kick and the snare up exactly on that grid, and so it becomes, you know, analog music. And I've never found the article again, but there is some theory that music that was made analog, which means tape, which means not a number of samples like CDs or MP3s or the stuff we listen to now, is enough samples to make you think you're hearing the whole thing. It's fooling your ear to think you're hearing it all. Analog is the whole spectrum. You're hearing every frequency the way it was recorded. It's a different medium. That's, that technology, I think is, I don't know, it makes everything sound the same. I know I probably sound like an old man, but
No, agree with you. It's funny. My husband was listening to a Karen Carpenter song came on, and I
Mhm.
said, "Oh my gosh, that voice! Like nobody has a voice like that." Even and yeah, another person that passed away so sadly, Whitney Houston, right? I mean, just the only one I think. And I went to see her Christmas concert. Mariah Carey had that operatic, another Long Islander, had that, that operatic sound. But somebody like Madonna, who's talk about somebody that was able to make money and she was she was a part of the old system because she was with she had her own record what was it, Time Warner, I think, is where she started, and started her own label and stuff, so she was able to parlay that, but never a great singer, never a great, she doesn't have a strong voice. She used to be able to dance well, and now I went to her concert last year. you know, it
Yeah.
was it was what it was.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lopez, I think, I don't want to say she has a horrible singing voice, but she doesn't have a singing voice at all. I think her dancing is great, and she puts on a show with the
Right.
costumes and the way that
Right.
she dances, and she flips her
Right.
hair, and
Right.
and then Beyonce's voice, I think, is a little bit stronger than both of those, but it's still, it becomes more like a production than it is the
Right.
actual singing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where we're at. I mean, Janis Joplin was singing her ass off with a band that was not perfect, and it was the imperfection of it is that perfect is not perfect. So I don't know. It's just changed, it's morphed, and that's what kids want to hear now because that's what they're used to. I
I
still
get a little
wouldn't.
appalled. I go to a lot of, I work out a lot. I work out almost every day. And I've been going to a gym or dance class, and they have music. And and I don't mean to sound like a fuddy-duddy either, but when it's 8 o'clock in the morning and I'm doing this so I don't look like every woman in my family, I want to be inspired, and I want to have happy music, and some of the music and the lyrics, and they're cursing, and I curse in real life. Is that, but it's just like I don't want to hear some of the stuff. I can't get over it. You know what I mean? I just, it's so, some of it's so just foul, and
Yeah,
and I just,
yeah. Go listen
I'm
tomorrow.
gonna really go down a rabbit hole with that, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like it just dirties it up, and it's just not. nice. It's just not fun. It's
Well,
lost.
certainly not when you're wanting to work out. You want something to get you
Right,
going.
right.
Try go to Spotify tomorrow when you're in
Mhm.
there and type in Amen and Hallelujah, John DeNicola. I guarantee you'll get 4 minutes of up upness.
Nice, nice music. Nice, sweet,
Oh, it's
sweet
up.
music.
The lyric is up. Everything's up about it.
I will definitely do that. So tell us, you said you're going to be in New York City performing? Is that?
Well, I'm trying to get a date now, still at the bitter end.
And okay.
Yep. So it's hopefully it's going to be late October, early November. It's going to be fun because it'll be a five-piece horn section and a full band because this record happens to be that. I've played there before my 2019 to release that record, and so I'm hoping to do that. And who knows? Once you get it up and running, then it's easy. It's the up and running part.
So tell us where we can find you, and I want to follow you. And if I can come to the bitter end, I live in New York City. I definitely like to do that. You have how are you with social media, Instagram, all that?
Yes, yes. John DeNicola Music
Mhm.
on both Instagram and Facebook. Um, it's also OMAD Records on
OMAD.
and omadrecords.com. omadrecords.com is you'll see all the albums and all the artists. And but that's I don't have much of a presence on TikTok, but IG and Facebook, yeah, is where I do my. And again, it's mostly postings by OMAD Records.
Mhm. Okay, that's great. All right, everybody, you heard that. OMAD Records. Take a look. Hopefully, John's going to be here with his band in New York City in the fall sometime. Bitter End is a great venue, iconic. I highly recommend it. And thank you so much for taking the time. You were fascinating. Really a pleasure to meet you. I loved every minute of this.
Same here. Thanks so much.
Thank you. So you hang on one second. I'm going to wrap this up. All right, everybody, there you go. I told you, a guest. I get quality. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Don't forget, follow me, Ellen Karis, on just go to my website. It's got everything linked. And till next time, bye.